So I will be repeating that again. So this webinar is being recorded. A link to the recorded webinar will be posted on our program website. If you do not want your image to be included in the recording, you may turn off your video camera. Breakout room discussions will not be recorded. And with that, I will hand things over to Dale Alakel, the King County Green Schools Program Manager, who will say a few words.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to this webinar on engaging with green schools virtually. I am Dale Alakel, Program Manager for the King County Green Schools Program. In August, we sent you a survey asking what types of virtual programs would be most useful to you in this unique year, and also when you'd like those programs to begin. A majority of you indicated October would be the best time for the first webinar, so thank you so much for your responses. We are so glad you're joining us today. I've had the privilege of knowing some of you since 2003 when this program began, and many others for more than 10 years. We have also had the pleasure of assisting many new schools over the past few years. We know how dedicated you all are to leading students in learning about sustainability, protecting and advocating for our environment, and also carrying out sustainability practices. Amid COVID-19 and all the challenges we're facing, climate change remains one of the most critical challenges. We really can make significant impacts when we each take action and when we join together. So with that, I'm now going to turn it over to 3 of our program representatives.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Dale. Welcome again. And we're excited to be sharing our offerings today in more detail. These virtual offerings are a result of the contributions through conversations we've had with you all, as well as responses to the virtual program survey. We're listening, we hear you, and we appreciate that you're all here with us today. We go to the next slide. So what's the plan? So today we're going to be doing just a few introductions. We're going to be doing a little bit of framing for this webinar and the year, and we're also going to be just stating some goals as well. So we'll then go on to giving you some updates of how the King County Green Schools program looks for this very different school year 2021. And you'll then have a chance to go into breakout rooms with fellow attendees. We see this as there are some opportunities presented here, which is that we hope that you'll be able to connect with other green team leaders, other teachers, custodians, and the King County Green Schools program can be more of a network in which you can feel supported and you can kind of share ideas. Coming back from the breakout room, there will then be a brief time to share out. You'll be able to a few people will be able to share some of your conversations that you've had in your breakout room. There'll be a bit of a wrap up, and then an informal and optional question and answer session. So if we go to the next slide. So I'm sure many of you already know Dale, but if you don't, you have now met her. My name's Andy Gordon-McLean. I am the project manager for the King County Green Schools program, and I'm also a representative. Other representatives we have here, and we're all, as you can see here, we're all here to help. Vivian Erickson, Scott Coe, Jen Scales, who is, I think, with us today, as well as Ashley Hill and Katrina Raddick, who will both be speaking shortly after I will. So yes, we go to the next slide. So how can we interact during this webinar? We ask participants to remain muted through the presentation. We will utilize the chat as a place to share and as a place where you can submit your questions during this presentation. You can quickly bring up the chat with the shortcut of pressing Alt and H at the same time. We have someone tracking the questions, and we will be revisiting some of these questions in the informal question and answer session following the at the end of the webinar, which is optional. If your question's not answered during that time, we will be following up with you. And with that, I'm going to hand things over to Katrina Raddick.
Great, thank you so much, Andy. So a good portion of this webinar is to discuss goals. And so I have two different types of goals I'll be shortly discussing. First of which are, of course, the webinar goals that we have today. We have some take-home messages and really a subset of goals that we want you to all be walking away with by the end of this webinar. And similarly, I will be going over real briefly the goals for the upcoming or this current school year for the King County Green Schools program. But before I get started on what are those goals, I really want to put in a little bit of framework and why we're shifting our train of thought this year. We recognize that sustainability is not just something that happens in school, but also happens in your communities and your homes. We recognize that many schools have closed their facilities, and many schools are navigating through lots of challenging environments. But we are here to support the school communities, no matter where people are working from or where you're at. So in terms of the webinar goals, we are trying to keep it short and simple. The first of which we want to ensure that you all are updated around the information for the King County Green Schools program for this school year, and that regarding the changes of the recognition process, and then also what we're offering this year that may be different than our previous years before. Similarly, we want to be sharing activities with green teams, and these are really just suggestions or activities that are relevant to green teams, certainly, but are also for teachers and schools who are interested in incorporating sustainability just a little bit further into their classroom. And then finally, we want to be idea sharing with fellow attendees. And this is really breakout groups with each other in this webinar, just to share ideas and just get connected with each other. In terms of the goals for this current school year for King County Green Schools, we really first and foremost just want to ensure that we are supporting all of the King County Green Schools participants, whether you're a student, teacher, parent, staff member, however you want to identify yourself, we want to ensure that you feel supported throughout this upcoming year. We also want to be encouraging student team leaders. We really value the leadership of students in sustainability across the county, and so we want to ensure that they feel successful and supported throughout their efforts. We want you to help connect and collaborate. We recognize that the virtual world that we're all working from right now is a unique opportunity to be able to connect with each other in new opportunities and ways. So we will be navigating and exploring those avenues. And then finally, we want to be celebrating and learning, or celebrate learning and actions. We really recognize that this is, again, a very new and unprecedented year. So we want to be able to celebrate you and all your progress that you are doing on the ground. And with that, I will pass this over to Ashley, who will discuss the updates from the King County Green Schools program.
Great, thank you. So it's really nice to see some more folks are rolling in as we're doing our introductions and getting started. It's really encouraging to see so many of you here this afternoon. And we just really want you to know that however you're showing up today, however you're planning to take on Green Schools work this year is enough for us. We know that this is a strange time. We're going to say it again throughout the webinar, just to be transparent and hold this space for all of you with as much excitement and enthusiasm and understanding as we can. So thanks for showing up. We're going to keep rolling so you can hear kind of the nuts and bolts of what we've got planned for you this year. All right, Katrina, next slide. Perfect. So recognition does look a bit different this year. And while we're not offering the program level recognition, so levels 1, 2, and 3, and sustaining level, education and actions from this year, 2021, can count toward school and district recognition in future years. We will be able to recognize green teams for their work. We're going to be celebrating actions in newsletters, our podcast, in these webinars, and on the website. And thinking about recognition this fall, anyone who met the criteria last school year, so 2019-20, but did not have the chance to receive recognition for your efforts, should please contact your representative. And if you're not sure who that is, there will be opportunities throughout the webinar for you to write down some contact information to be sure that you can get what you need. Thank you. All right, so our virtual offerings, we've got sort of 4 big categories for virtual offerings that we are going to be sharing with you all. The first one is webinars. Welcome, you made it. The second one is virtual gatherings. The third is a podcast. And finally, green team activities. Next slide, thank you. So there will be about 5 webinars in the 2021 school year, and these are going to focus on themed content, and it'll be really a high-level information sharing. And these are open to all the Green Schools program participants. So staff, administrators, teachers, custodians, students, anyone who's interested in learning more about the topics is welcome to attend. There will be 4 virtual gatherings in the 2021 school year, and these are really time for a deeper dive into idea sharing, working through any challenges, building relationships across schools and districts, and again, holding space for staff and student leaders to connect. The podcast, we're really excited about this. Andy and I are going to be hosting. There will be 8 episodes this year, and each episode will feature suggestions for sustainability actions and interviews with Green Schools program participants. And we are going to roll to the last offering. I know I'm cruising through these. I will say what I say to my students, that we are recording this, so you can absolutely reference these again, and this information will be available to you on the website. But the monthly Green Team activity sheets are really, like Katrina said, for green teams, but also for teachers and folks who are excited about integrating sustainability education in whatever way you see fit. So some examples from the October activity sheet include signing up for a virtual workshop through King County. These are free to teachers, green team leaders, folks who are interested in learning more. You could start a virtual book club. On the October activity sheet, you would find some examples of like grade band appropriate books that you could share with folks. There's the opportunity to read and learn about student change makers and kind of really feel those inspiring vibes from folks who are taking action. There's some upcycled art project opportunities and even some ideas for planning a sustainable virtual Halloween celebration. As a student told me earlier in class today, they were like, Halloween is X number of days away. So folks are excited about it, and we know that's on students' minds. So look for that. So that was a lot of information, I know, but we've got some great places where you can find this and where you can continue to find information throughout this year. There's the Green Schools website, the Green Schools newsletter, and your representative. Hello, I'm one of them. So the website is an awesome place to visit if you have got a minute to poke around and look for stuff. And even if you don't, your rep can help you find resources on the website. Let me tell you, it is a treasure trove. There are many years of resources that have been accumulated and vetted and are ready for you to take on and use in your classrooms. One that I really wanted to point out are these fact or fiction presentations. So for each level of the typical recognition that we offer, waste reduction, recycling, energy, and water conservation, there's a fact or fiction presentation. And this could be easily translated into a game for a green team virtual meeting, or as like a pre or post assessment from a lesson on waste reduction, energy, or water. And those are available as a PDF to download from the website. Thank you. So you can also sign up for the newsletter. This comes once a month, and Dale does a great job putting together some resources and updates for folks. To sign up for this, you can email greenschools@triangleassociates.com, or you can reach out to your representative and we can help get you signed up too. And finally, your Green Schools representatives, we are here to help you. Typically, we can come to schools and do all that fun stuff, but this year, obviously, we are virtual. So you can communicate with us by email, phone call. We are happy to set up a video call with you as well, and really act as a thought partner. So if you've got an idea or something that you might want to do, or if you're feeling like, oh, I'm not sure what to do, please reach out to us. We're happy to chat with you and really want to provide you with some resources and ideas to carry on sustainability activities this year.
We now have kind of 5 minutes for some of you to share some highlights from your conversations. Would anyone like to share using the participants feature at the bottom of the screen?
So Andy, I have I have Megan Foreman from Tahoma. So Megan, if you wouldn't mind taking yourself off of mute and sharing out.
Yeah, hi, I'm Megan Foreman from Tahoma. I'm at one of our middle schools, Mapleview Middle School. One thing that we did last spring when school first shut down is we created a school-wide Google Classroom page so that clubs and things can have announcements and different stuff. So this year we've done that again and advertised for my green team to start, and I have 9 participants. The students are really focusing on having an educational theme each month. They're super excited about endangered animals this month. Next month, they want to go into plastics and want to share information about the 4 oceans bracelets and how to kind of save the ocean and focusing on that. And then for the month of December, they've already decided they want to have a campaign for students and families to go out and ask for eco-friendly shipping from Amazon. So those are some things that we're working on, and they create a slideshow each month to present on our school-wide Google Classroom page. And then we have a question from our Google Classroom page so students can make a pledge for that too, and add whatever links that other students might need to be aware of.
Thank you. That's great. Sounds fantastic. Would anybody else like to share?
Yeah, I see Sophia Leota. I apologize if I did not pronounce your last name right. Sophia, if you don't mind taking yourself off of mute. And I'll also make a quick comment that there's some great chat ideas and share out. So folks, please feel free to look at some of those chats.
Yeah, so within my group, we talked a lot about the different levels of engagement we can get students. Yeah, I'm also a student at Inglemoor High School. I should have started with that. But yeah, so we talked about different levels of engagement we can get people involved in when we're looking at larger advocacy efforts. Like you might have 40 or so people have their name down on a Google form or sign a petition. And then within that, you have a smaller group of like 10 people or 15 who are working at definitely a higher level of engagement. So that's a really interesting strategy that we were talking about. And also the ways that right now we can use technology to create connections between different schools. One of the teachers in our group talked about how for events and maybe marketing new initiatives, it's really useful to have a short video you can send out to teachers in your district to make sure that it's really easy for people to access and easy for the teachers to bring that information to their students. So that's something I'll personally be using moving forward as I work on an event, and definitely want to bring in younger students into our work.
Thank you. That sounds amazing. And I think we've also got here a high school green team involved in policy change and legislation around waste reduction, climate change. These look fantastic. We've got using Seesaw and sharing on the blog, so students throughout the school can share ideas and accomplishments at an elementary level. All sounds fantastic. But we have a lot of different resources to share with you over the next year. So on the October the 29th, we will be releasing our first podcast for the a kickoff podcast, which will have more information about what you can be doing to engage with your green team virtually, and it'll also feature some interviews with students as well about what they've been up to. In November, for the Green Schools program, we're going to have really more of a focus on food waste reduction. King County has been doing a lot of different things around kind of food waste reduction, including the Food Too Good to Waste kind of campaign. And we'll be having a webinar. That webinar will just really be more of a share out of information. We'll be having our first virtual gathering, which will have more of the opportunity that you've just had, just to interact with other program participants, as well as the second kind of podcast. In December, our theme will be more based around climate change. And we'll be announcing when the webinar, the podcast and the virtual gathering will be available soon. If we go to the next slide. So here you'll find the contact information for your representatives. Please get in touch with your representatives. We're here to help, act as a resource, and really to be an idea partner for you throughout the year. So we're always available to you. And just in case you're not sure who your representative is, and I think we had that earlier and somebody entered that into the chat, we'll be getting back to you. So you could ask that in the chat and we'll get back to you, or you could also get in touch over email. So one email you could use is greenschools@triangleassociates.com. That is greenschools@triangleassociates.com. So if we go to the last slide. So thank you for joining us here today, and we appreciate your time's very limited at the moment, and we hope this has been useful to you. So please look out for the follow-up email with a link to today's webinar, and which will also have a PDF of the first Green Team's activities sheet.